Do you think they'll really shut down Uber in California?
Well, the piece of that clip that you didn't continue to show, which understandably was kind of Dara also pointing out that the plan isn't to shut down permanently in California, right? Well, they could shut down temporarily. That's certainly understandable. I mean, think about what they have to do if the state's telling them that they can't operate unless all of their drivers are classified as employees. It's a really big logistical hurdle and challenge in doing that. You can't really do that overnight. And so, you could see a world where they do stop temporarily, that maybe it makes sense for them to wait until the vote in November, where the Proposition 22, where they'll take it to the electorate and see what the people have to say about it. There's probably a little bit of posturing in there, but I think you could see a world where it does stop temporarily in California, at least for a little bit.
Do you think, though, it is inevitable that both companies, Lyft and Uber, will have to classify these drivers as employees?
I don't think it's inevitable. Again, I really do think these companies are making a really valid point and argument here. They're not sitting there trying to tell you that drivers have all the rights that they need and there aren't things that need to be fixed and addressed in this situation. There certainly are. That Dara's pointed to that. Lyft has pointed to that. We're kind of stuck in an antiquated employment model where you've got a binary system, as Dara called it, right? Where you've got rights for full-time workers and then you've got really very little to nothing for contractual workers. We're in a new world where there are a lot of people that are kind of in this gig economy or somewhere in between, certainly deserve some rights, but also want flexibility. And it's hard to be a full-time employee and get that flexibility to kind of turn on and off as you want, work for multiple companies. If you want to just work an hour or two one week and then work 40 hours the next week. So those are things that you can do in the gig economy. And when you become a full-time employee, companies can't really afford that flexibility to you.
But if all of these drivers had to be classified as full-time employees, Yigal, I mean, the business model simply doesn't work, correct? I mean, if for some reason Uber loses that appeal, it just doesn't make sense to operate in a place like California, does it?
It doesn't work or it doesn't make sense to operate. It's probably a little bit too strong. Again,
it would be very difficult. They would continue to lose more money. They would lose even more money.
It makes it more difficult. It makes it more difficult. They're going to have to raise their prices, right? They're going to pass on that added expense to the consumer, so it's going to cost people more to ride. Dara talked about maybe only operating in major cities, not operating in the suburbs. It would look drastically different, or it would look at least somewhat different, and it would be more expensive.
By the way, what are you expecting from Lyft in terms of earnings? How bad will it be, do you think?
Well, bad, I guess, is relative. Expectations certainly.
Well, it can't be great, I wouldn't think.
It's not going to be great. Numbers are going to be down quite meaningfully year over year. I think if you just kind of look at what Uber reported last week, their rideshare unit was down 70% in 2Q. Right, that's a really huge drop. I think for Lyft, you'll probably see something similar to that. There was a little bit of a spike mid-quarter where things in certain states like New York were starting to get better, and they weren't getting so bad yet in other states like Florida and Texas and California, and trends were kind of moving up. Then you had this big reversal. You're likely going to see a really big impact, probably to the tune of down 60%.